Life has a way of overwhelming us in ways we never expected. One day everything feels stable, and the next day the ground beneath your feet begins to shake. People change, plans collapse, opportunities disappear. The things you depended on suddenly stop working. And in those moments, you begin to feel a heaviness inside your chest, a heaviness that tells you you're carrying too much alone. But hear this in your spirit. You were never created to carry life by yourself. You were created to trust God. When your strength is gone, His strength remains. When your ideas run out, His wisdom is still unlimited. When doors close unexpectedly, His plan is still unfolding perfectly. When you feel unprotected, His unseen hand is still over your life. God has been taking care of you since your first breath, long before you learned how to worry, long before you learned what fear feels like, long before you ever faced your first heartbreak. He took care of you then, and He will take care of you now. Some seasons of life feel like storms that will never end. You cry silently, you pray with a trembling voice, and you wonder if God still hears you. You wonder if He's forgotten your name. You wonder if your prayers are reaching the sky or just bouncing back into your pain. But even when God seems quiet, He is not absent. Even when you don't feel Him, He is closer than your breath. Even when you don't understand His timing is still perfect. Sometimes trusting God feels like stepping into the dark with no map, no explanation, no guarantees, only faith. And faith is not the absence of fear. Faith is choosing to walk forward even while fear whispers in your ear. Faith is believing that God knows more than you do. Faith is letting go of control and surrendering your life into His hands. You may be facing a situation right now that feels too heavy for you. Maybe your heart is tired. Maybe your finances feel unstable. Maybe your relationships are draining you. Maybe your mind is full of fear and confusion. Maybe you're trying to hold things together that have already fallen apart. But God is saying to you softly and gently, "My child, you are not alone. Give it to me. Trust me." You don't have to understand everything to trust God. You don't need the full picture to have peace. You don't need to know the next step. You only need to know the one who leads you. Every closed door was protection. Every delay was preparation. Every disappointment was redirection. Every heartbreak was a lesson wrapped in pain, but filled with purpose. There are things God is removing from your life, not because He wants you to suffer, but because He wants you to grow. There are friendships ending because they cannot go with you into the next season. There are relationships breaking because God heard conversations you didn't hear. There are opportunities fading because they would have destroyed you if they stayed. Sometimes God will break your heart to save your soul. Trusting God means believing that everything He allows has purpose. Even the things that hurt, even the things you don't understand, even the things you prayed would go differently. Trust means accepting that God sees what you cannot. Maybe you feel like your life is falling apart, but God is actually rearranging things into a better alignment. Maybe you feel rejected, but God is redirecting you. Maybe you feel delayed, but God is preparing you. There is not a moment in your life when God loses control. Not one. You may be tired from fighting battles you were never meant to fight alone. You may be exhausted from carrying burdens that belong in God's hands, not yours. Trust means releasing what you cannot fix. Trust means loosening your grip on what you can't change. Trust means saying, "God, I don't know how this will work out, but I trust you anyway." When you feel afraid of the future, remember who holds it. When you feel lost, remember who guides you. When you feel broken, remember who heals you. When you feel alone, remember who promised to never leave you. God is not asking you to be perfect. He is not asking you to pretend you're strong. He is simply asking you to surrender, to rest, to lean into Him. Let Him carry you through the storm. Let Him comfort you in the silence. Let Him fight the battles. You cannot worry and trust God at the same time. One will always silence the other. Trust says, "God, I don't see a way, but I believe you will make one." Trust says, "God, you are good even when life is not." Trust says, "God, I place everything in your hands because my hands are too small to hold it." When life feels uncertain, God already knows the ending. When people fail you, God remains faithful. When plans collapse, God's purpose still stands. When everything seems impossible, God specializes in the impossible. He has carried you through every season, the ones that broke you, the ones that shaped you, the ones that taught you strength, and the ones that taught you humility. Not once did God abandon you, and He never will. Maybe right now God is teaching you to trust him deeper than ever before. Maybe he is stripping away distractions so you can hear his voice clearly. Maybe he is removing temporary people so he can bring permanent blessings. Maybe he is letting certain doors close so he can open doors that lead to destiny. Trusting God is not passive, it is powerful. It is choosing peace over panic. It is choosing surrender over stress. It is choosing to be still in a world that demands you keep fighting every battle alone. God is saying to you, if you release it, I will replace it. If you surrender it, I will strengthen you. If you trust me, I will take care of you. So breathe. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not hopeless. You are in the hands of a God who never fails. Let God heal what people broke. Let God restore what life took. Let God rebuild what collapsed. Let God lead you where your own strength can't go. There is a future waiting for you, a future filled with peace, clarity, abundance, and purpose. But you can only walk into that future with God, not without him. He sees your tears. He hears your prayers. He knows your heart, and he will take care of you in ways you cannot imagine. Trust God when it's easy. Trust him when it's hard. Trust him when you're afraid. Trust him when you can't see the full picture. Trust him in the silence. Trust him in the waiting. Trust him in the confusion. Trust him in the darkness. Trust him in the storm. Trust him in the breakthrough. Trust him in the blessing. Because the God who took care of you yesterday is the same God taking care of you today, and he is the same God who will take care of you tomorrow. Hold on to that truth. Hold on to your faith. Hold on to God's promises. God will take care of you fully, faithfully, and forever.